This. Good evening, everybody in South Bossier. Of course, this is the sobo.live podcast number 8. I'm Wes. This is Eric. And our special guest today needs no introduction, but go ahead and introduce
yourself.
Steven
Verbka, newly appointed principal at Parkway High School.
So summertime is just kicking off. I made a joke just a second ago that this is the first time I haven't worn like a jacket or a nice shirt because I am enjoying summertime.
Yeah.
Do you have any big plans for the summer, Eric?
No, I don't. Probably go on a few little trips with my kiddo, and I'm sure a lot of you are looking at me and saying, "Oh, he's not in a pullover today." So yeah, that's always good. I don't have my pullover on today, but yeah, man, we not much during the summer.
It is. It's getting to be Louisiana warm. We
yes.
had a couple weeks of where it was like, it's nice outside, but now it's hot. All the kids are starting their summer practices. They're hot. Ours is out doing soccer right now. But the main thing we want to introduce everybody to Parkway's new principal, Steven Verbka. We're really excited to have you on and to share your story today.
That.
Thank you for being here.
Anytime.
Yeah, this is a very special podcast to me because I've told people that I have watched Steven grow up since he was a little kid. Him and my brother were close friends, and I always tell the story that I used to go pick them up from the bowling alley, and him and my brother and Verbka would be singing at the top of their lungs in my mom's minivan when they were in the 7th grade and stuff. So I'm so proud of how Steven has progressed in life, and I know his family. He comes from a great family, and I was excited the minute I knew that he was getting the job. I texted him and called him repeatedly. I wanted to have him on, and told Wes to just, so this will be a great interview. A lot of you will get to know a familiar face, and I can't wait to get started with this interview.
So, from the flip side, I grew up looking up to you as an upperclassman, valedictorian, super, intelligent and engaged person. And I always thought, man, that's the guy's got stuff. I think you're friends with my older brother.
Yep.
It's interesting now. How many years now have you been in the administration or in education?
Well, in education, I just finished year 14, so I'll be starting 15 in the upcoming fall. But it was a path that I didn't know I would go into education initially. I was tutoring kids after I finished college, and somebody told me that you probably need to go into education, like you're so good at helping kids, and at that time I was just tutoring kids in math, and next thing you know I looked into an alternate certification program, and next thing you know here I am today. Once I got an education, really enjoyed it, knew I wanted to go the administrative route, and got my ed leader.
Now talk to us. You graduated from Parkway, and what did you do from there?
Well, I graduated from Parkway High School in 2002. At that point, I ended up going to Northwestern State University.
Okay.
I have a degree in mathematics and business. Ended up, at that time, I really didn't know. My mom was a service writer at Holmes European, and she's like, well, you need to try out. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And she's like, you have this business background, and I was about to take my first actuarial exam. I thought that would be the path that I wanted to go, and my mom was like, well, until you figure it out, try Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up becoming a manager there for them. And after 2.5 years, 3 years, I sat down, and now customer service wise we were really, really good, and I was like, this isn't really where I want to be. I wanted to help kids and help people.
Right.
And so I talked to some people in education and learned about the alternate certification pathway. And once I went that pathway, it was no looking back for me. I really, really enjoyed it. I started my career at Northwood High School. And then I always knew that I wanted to get back to Parkway.
Mm-hmm.
And in year 2, Dr. Bourgeois gave me a call. They had a math spot opened here. I applied and spent some time at Parkway High School, knew that I wanted to go into administration, and ended up coaching a little bit at Airline, baseball and football. And then
Really?
when this job came open as an assistant principal, Coach Williams took an opportunity on me, took a chance on me, and we spent 3 years together, and now shifting into this role as a principal.
Right. So this is your first. Parkway is your first assistant principal job. You were teaching and coaching at Airline High School.
Yes, sir.
Kind of hard to swallow that our South Bossier boy worked for the enemy, but that's okay. And
It's never where you start; it's always where you finish.
You finished, right? And that's one thing that I do hope that you're here for a long time. And talk about some of your mentors or people that helped you along your way, along the path.
Well, I always looked up, to my parents first and foremost. My parents didn't initially go to college, and so now I look at my mom, several years later, and she just walked across the stage at ULM, and
Yes,
she will be
congratulations, Miss Cindy.
She'll be going into education and teaching at Apollo Elementary, so that's been really good.
Wow.
Just to see that shift and transition. My wife has always been one of my biggest fans, and she's an educator, been in 13 or 12 years. Her mother's an educator. Both of my wife's other two siblings are in education. His wife is in education, so we're a family of educators. So every time we get together, it's like we never, we always know what's going on, I guess, but we never talk about work.
There's never a surprise.
Right.
Absolutely,
If you're having a trouble with a kid, it's like, well, let me tell you what I've dealt with. Because when you're all in the business, you know everything. You've had a lot of history to draw upon.
We have family dinner every Sunday at my mother-in-law's, and one thing we don't do is we don't talk about work.
No shop talk.
It's an opportunity to enjoy time with our family, enjoy time with our little ones, so she can be there with her grandkids. So it's just been a good opportunity for all that.
That's really cool. So talk to us again. Go through some names of who's helped you
In the education aspect.
Education aspect.
Dr. Bourgeois has always been a good mentor for me. She took a chance on me, bringing me over here after my first year in education. I had the opportunity to work under Mr. Rowland at Airline, who's been a big mentor for me. It kind of pushed me into going that educational leadership route. Had a chance to learn under Coach James for 1 year, and then of course Coach Williams and Miss Gray. Coach Williams has really kind of pushed me to that next level. He's taught me a lot about leadership now as I've transitioned from an educator, and we're always educators, but as transitioning from the classroom and coaching to actually an assistant principal role, he's really done a good job at kind of showing me the path, and he's a very good leader. And I'm very blessed to have worked under him.
Yeah, I've always will go on record and just being around him. He also coached my kid in basketball, and I just, as far human being, principal, I just just all around leader. I mean, he's got some tough shoes. You got some tough shoes to fill. He is one of the absolute GOATs in this profession, and I mean, I'm privileged to even call him a friend, and even though I haven't worked with him, but I get what you're saying when he tries to maximize everybody's potential and his focus and his drive, and so I can imagine getting to work with him every day.
Wow.
You learned a lot, along with working with Becky Gray, who's been in the business here for, I'd say, going on 40 years, if not long.
She's been a little over 40 years, and like I told Coach, I said when I got the job and we were talking, I said, I've, just like you said, I have big shoes to fill, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's a special order of shoes,
Yeah.
So, I'm excited about the opportunity, excited, just to be able to build upon the things that he's, put in place at Parkway.
Now, were you nervous at all when you applied for this job, or did you just say, hey, this job's coming open, I'm applying for it no matter what?
Well, I mean, when the opportunity came open, everybody wants to go back to their alma mater, and everybody wants a chance. For me, being in education, working here has been a blessing. Being an assistant principal has been good, and just always wanting a chance to give back to a school that gave so much to me. Mm-hmm. So I think, when this job came open, for me, I was like, this is really a place that I'd want to be and have a chance to lead and continue building on what Coach Williams and Mr. Bates and Dr. Bourgeois and all those other other leaders have put in place here at Parkway, continue growing it.
That really means a lot to me as a parent and as a South Bossier resident, because someone with your history and discipline and capability, you could take your talents and go to a huge school system, like you go to the Dallas metro area or Memphis, anywhere. You have an extensive history in education and administration, but the fact that you say you want to invest in the place that gave you so much, I hope more people take that same opportunity and invest their time and their effort in South Bossier, because Parkway and South Bossier in general benefits so much from that.
Well, I mean, it's just, it's very important, just to stay focused, not move too fast and just go one day at a time. And as we try to maximize the potential, like you said earlier, in every kid.
Yeah, and one of the things that I admire you for, because when people, not that we had any bearing on whether you got the job or not, but when people were just kind of talking, asked for opinions, and I even told you, I said, my only concern would be you being assistant principal for 3 years, and you're about to take on not a small school. You're about to dive on in to one of the largest high schools in North Louisiana. Do you think you're ready for that challenge? Because it's almost as if you're not getting any principal experience at a small school to kind of get your feet wet. I mean, you're literally diving in head first in a large 5A school.
You're like the mayor of a small town.
Yeah.
Every day there's thousands of people.
And you've got 3 years under your belt, so I admire your courage that you said, you know what, I'm going to do it. What was talk about the interview process? What led up to your interview process? How did you prepare for your interview process, and how was the process?
Well, you look at the interview process, and, the one difference for me is being here the previous 3 years. So I know the things that we have as an administrative staff and as a staff as a whole put in place, and the things that as a staff we have accomplished. So it's not like, if you're applying for another school where you're trying to find numbers and data and things that they've done, and we're each other's biggest critic, so if there are things that we haven't done that haven't been as successful, I can openly say that, but it's hard to identify those things for another school that you're not a part of. The interview process is always a daunting task, just, going in there. It's a panel set up, and obviously you get questions, from everybody on that panel from all different departments, and I think it's important to understand that, we're not going to have every answer, but we're going to do the best to do right by people. And I think that's the main focus is just, taking the time to listen before we respond and before we act, and making sure that we're responding in the appropriate manner.
Now, how did you, when your interview was done, from the time that you interviewed to the time that you found out you were selected for the job, was that like the most nerve-wracking time of your life? Like, what did you do? Did you do something to keep yourself busy? How did you handle that?
The good thing for me is I was coming back to work, so I just drove back to work and got to work, and then when I found out, I was excited, and of course, just an exciting opportunity for me, and my family's excited about it, and just pouring in. My kids love the school, so they want to be up here all the time, and as they call it, Panther Town. So So
I mean, it's like I'm saying, it's like a small town, and the campus is growing. There's some plans of expansion with the women's field house.
Yeah, they're in the works of putting in the women's field house that hopefully they'll be breaking ground on soon. They're working through some logistical stuff. They added, of course, we added this awning over here on the north side of campus, and then we have an awning where they're extending the covered area where the outside eating area is, outside the cafeteria. And so they're working on that right now.
And just past summer, they extended the parking lot out here, didn't they?
Yes, and the north parking lot, restriped it. We added, right at 40 new Promethean boards in for teachers. They're 85-inch, TV / internet capability, TV. So they're really, really good for, enhancing that technology in the classroom. And so a lot of teachers have incorporated that where they have their whiteboard space and putting the TV on the back wall, or so they're able to do multiple things in the classroom. So it's been really, really good, and we've grown a lot of things in that aspect, just added to the campus, and so we'll see what it all brings as we move forward.
Now, did you have or in your mind, do you have a list of stuff that you want to do or maybe change what are some of your talk to us about some of the visions you have going forward now that you're principal. Is there stuff that you may want to change a little bit, or stuff you may want to, whatever letter grade you're at, steps to take to get to the next letter grade? Like, talk to us about your vision of what you want to do here.
I think when the administrative team, one thing that I learned a lot from Coach Williams and other, especially Coach Rowland was very big on this, was leadership teams. You want everybody that works here to be proud to work at Parkway High School and to take initiative to help grow Parkway High School. Obviously, as the leader, when Parkway is successful, it's not because one person is at the helm or anything like that. It's truly a team thing, and that's one thing I've really learned is creating those teams, kind of getting down and your teachers are at the foundation of it all. Without them, we wouldn't have the gains that we do have.
Right.
So I think it's very important to really lean on our leadership committee to come up with things that we want to implement. So one of the things that we implemented a few years ago was teaching math year-round. We felt like kids, coming off of COVID and different things, lacked those foundational skills in mathematics. So, some of the kids that may have came to us 2 years after COVID, post-COVID, may have went home and missed part of 7th grade, and were on hybrids when they started 8th grade. So teaching math in a year-round capacity. So 3 years ago, our index has shifted, 30-plus points in math, which has been unreal. So, you talk about 2 years ago, we were, a 50-something index, and now we're shooting at almost an 80.
Right.
So we've done a really good job in terms of growing those things by making small changes. Now, for a lot of those kids, algebra is the foundation for it all.
Right.
If you look at the background of the ACT and the math component, algebra and pre-algebra, roughly weigh about 70% of that test. So having a strong background for our kids is paramount moving forward.
Now, how long? And this is not trying to insult anybody on our curriculum team at Bossier Parish Schools, but why would they have not done math to begin with year-round? We always had it year-round.
Well,
and so I just wondered why they would get away from that, because I completely think you should be learning math year-round for sure.
Well, and what you have to understand too, it's a big puzzle. So, they had taught it part 1 and part 2 prior to, so there were some components of it year-round. But a lot of times, like even kids of all facets, no matter how strong you are in math or for some people, if you're not really, really strong, I think everybody needs that extra time in that class. So for us, the challenge is it's a staffing issue at times, because instead of, if you could teach it based on a semester, you have more options to open up maybe more alternatives in math, or, different things. But it's one of the things that we felt was very important as we shifted to build that foundation. So we made that sacrifice, to have the extra staffing and to maybe, create some roadblocks in terms of scheduling for us. But to me, it was worth it, as that counts as part of your, testing index, So.
Now, how do you feel about the direction that the schools have gone as far as testing, and like what tests do they take? They take the ACT, and do they take any other tests?
Well, you have obviously a large gamut of the LEAP tests. So right now, currently, kids are taking the biology LEAP, they're taking the algebra 1 LEAP, they're taking the geometry LEAP, English 1, English 2, and U.S. history. And this year we'll actually transition and pilot the civics LEAP. So it's just, kids, we took the GE, and now we're transitioning to where you're taking, different facets and different subjects.
So for somebody like you and me, going back 20 years ago, graduate of high school, I don't remember. I think we had like some type of LEAP 21 or some type of, it was like math and English is what I remember.
Yeah, we took the, sophomore year, I remember taking math and English, and then we took science and history our junior year, the graduate exit exam.
So for parents that are our age and they have their kids going through high school now, what is the biggest difference in the testing they take now versus what we took in our generation?
Well,
is it completely different?
Yeah, I mean, now we're taking it on a computer.
It's not on Scantron.
Yeah, we're not on paper test. And even the ACT is starting to make that shift to a computer-based test.
Wow.
When we administered the test this year, we actually utilize the computer or Chromebooks in the classroom. And, we're just embracing the technology. The biggest difference, though, is when they finish a class, they're going in and taking that test right at the conclusion of the class versus, we may be taking that science one after our junior year. And depending on where we're at, what if we, had to take an extra class and we didn't schedule biology until our junior year.
Right.
So, here you're taking it at the conclusion versus, well, I could miss a class or maybe I didn't pass a class or something like that, and I might not be entirely prepared. So at the conclusion of that class, you're taking that test. So I think that's the biggest difference, which is beneficial for the kid. There is no downtime. There is no chance that, hopefully you won't, lose any of that information and things of that nature.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times people lose sight that the tests are to help the kid get better. And so I think a lot of time, not a lot of time, I think sometimes people will assume that, oh, well, they're just, trying to fail these kids, or they're trying to see who's not doing their job and who's not. At the end of the day, the tests are to help the kids get better. And so I think, doing these big tests have kind of gotten a bad reputation over the years because of that. I remember we did the California Achievement Test when I was younger, and they quickly did away with it. And so I've always been kind of curious as to how the even test even came about. So, but I think you are on top of that. Talk to us about athletics. You look forward to our athletics this year in sports, and it seems like you've got a pretty good coaching staff. Have you filled your coaching staff spots?
We're looking to, we lost Coach Sewell. He was our offensive coordinator in football. He shifted over to Houghton, which is, he's going back home. Yeah. So that's been a good thing for him. And Coach Brotherton promoted up Coach James to be the offensive coordinator. Having a chance to watch some of the stuff that they did in the spring, changing tempo. They're doing a really good job out there. Coach Brotherton seems very pleased. Obviously most of the staff remained intact. We added Coach Fenimore over from Airline, and he'll help out on the D-line and maybe some edge players and stuff on defense. Coach Jackson's working on making some changes in regards to the defense personnel, to get more of our we have a ton of defensive backs out there, maybe to find a way to get more of those guys on the field. Basketball, we're super excited about again.
Oh, yeah, I'm very excited.
Obviously Chloe Larry, having the chance to be a leader on this team. We'll have Savannah and
Savannah will be back this year. Right?
Yeah, she was hurt, and she's going through that rehab process and getting better. One thing that's often not mentioned about our basketball team is how strong they are in the classroom.
Yeah,
I think about athletics, and I just think about what it embodies to be a student athlete. And Coach Williams does a good job with their girls, and they're focused on doing the right thing in the classroom as well as on the court, and they've obviously been very successful in both. Wrestling should be another big year. Coach Concilio's grown that program. We're looking to have close to 40 to 50 guys.
That's incredible.
So Coach C has done a really good job at it's to the point now where he's talking about we'll have a team that'll travel, and then the guys that may or may not travel on a particular weekend will be able to wrestle in town somewhere. So he's talking about expanding and really growing that and utilizing one of the coaches that are coming over to help with football to help him with the in-town guys. So it'll be an opportunity to where those younger guys that are missing out on some matches can now get more matches and just get better, because they're the future of your program after all.
Yeah.
We're excited about Coach Wickland coming on from Shreve. He had the opportunity to coach under Coach Coker.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm really excited about that.
That's the baseball coach, right?
Yes, sir. We obviously brought in Coach Gallman. Excited about her energy and passion. I know you had a chance to interview her.
Yeah, she was
on a previous
interesting.
podcast.
Yeah, she seemed like she is.
Focused.
Again, I guess me being in an older generation, it always kind of makes me nervous when they're that young. But golly, she was focused. She had a maturity about her, and
laser sharp too. She's
she's
win
ready to
games
go. She's
and
ready
train.
to dig into it. I'm really excited to see what she does and what she brings to the table. And I think she's going to have her girls ready.
No doubt. Just the passion, and that's something you can't fake. Being excited about what you really enjoy to do, and I think it's important for those girls to see that. Coach Rayner, obviously we were young last year basketball-wise, a lot to be excited about.
Oh, yeah.
He's been working them hard this year, so far this summer. I had a chance to be in the gym today and kind of see how that's going. And then I think about our spirit groups, how much they've grown, and they're always traveling and supporting our groups. And then I never forget about the band. Mr. Benton, I know you're a former band guy.
Yep.
Played the drums at what, Tech?
Louisiana Tech, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so I think about that. Mr. Benton's really grown that program, and sometimes I think about COVID and the way things change things, and now he's kind of had a chance to build it back up. They're looking at close to 130, 140 people in the band this year, so that'll be exciting.
Good.
And their show this year is going to be on Zorro, based on Zorro, so it'll be exciting. The kids are super excited about it, and so I think you're going to see some exciting things about coming from all aspects from Parkway, not only the academic side, but our student-led clubs, of course, the band and spirit groups, as well as our athletics.
Now, what about have you filled your assistants to Coach Williams in girls basketball yet? Or are we still looking?
Before Coach had left, they had actually before Coach Williams, Principal Coach Williams had left, he had actually hired Coach Galat. He's going to come over. He was at Southwood at one time, and he's going to come over, and him and Coach Williams, Coach Gloria Williams, have a very good rapport.
Is that Southwood's the old girls basketball coach?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we watched him coach here. He's amazing. He was a good coach.
So he's going to shift over, and we all had a chance to be on that interview process. But
Good for
that
y'all.
was a hire Coach Williams had made, probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So it'll be a good addition, I think, and it's somebody that Coach Williams, Mrs. Coach Williams, feels really good about.
Yeah,
and we're excited to have him on board.
When I asked her when we played Southwood last year and we were just blowing them out, and I asked Coach, I said, "Where is their coach at?" Because he was fiery and they really gave us a run last year or the year before last, and she said that he wasn't coaching there anymore for whatever reason.
Yeah, I
but
don't
she
know.
said that they were good friends and he was a good coach, and I'm excited that he's come. What's he going to teach? Is he going to?
He's a history teacher, so he's going to
Okay.
teach world geography for us.
Good deal. Good deal.
We
It'll
got
be
a
good.
question in the chat about boys soccer. Do you have a
Yeah,
boys-
we're at the time Coach Harvey was going to take over that program, so we're working on some options for that, and that'll be taken care of by the end of the week. I know we've got to get that all in place. I know there's been a lot of questions about that, and
That's the thing. When you have the kids, that's one thing, but it's the parents. They want to know who's going to
I mean, and you want to do right by everybody, and I
Sure.
think that's the most important. And that's one thing, I've really been excited. I had a chance to travel down and watch our girls play St. Thomas more in the playoffs, and that's one thing I didn't mention, is the transition that the boys and girls soccer programs have made. And I know it's been helpful, both being Division II now, but excited for them. We got a lot of young players back in the girls and guys as well, a lot of returning players. So exciting to see what they're going to do this year as well.
Who's going to be coaching the girls soccer now?
It's Coach James, and he's working. I actually had a chance to sit in on his parent meeting that he had about a week or so ago, and then they're working on bringing in a CECP. I don't think Coach McMillan was coming back, and so they're working on bringing a CECP in
Right.
to help him out. So
That's really cool. Now, what about cross country, track?
well,
I have to ask, it's my
I
family.
know. And I had a chance to coach with your brother, and when we won a state championship in 2014. But I'll tell you, Coach Fulton's super excited about the runners coming in this year. We had 3 freshmen come in that are going to be really, really good. One of which is, parents are both Parkway alums in terms of Brennan Robin.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think he's going to be a star.
Then you look at just the returners that they have coming back. Gabe's a talented runner. You have Gary Smith. You have Charlie Rulifson, who was our salutatorian, just graduated, but his brother will be here again. And
Okay.
I think he was a freshman last year, so he'll be a sophomore this upcoming year. I mean, obviously the Gomez kid is very, very talented. We had a lot of, I'm telling you right now, when I talk to Coach Faulting, he feels like in the next, this year, have a good chance to be top 3.
Right.
Depending on, like anything else, you need things to go your way on race day.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
And with a chance to maybe crack the top 2 and definitely moving forward. So it'll be exciting to see, what they do. And then obviously all that foundational will carry over into track. You'll have guys like Dee Dee Oliver throwing the disc and shot. You'll have Chloe Larry coming back with the javelin. Then it'll be interesting to see. Of course, our distance runners will transition over, and we just got to build us some sprinters, and we'll be ready to roll.
Yeah, man, it's exciting to watch.
is,
I got to go down to Baton Rouge and watch an indoor track meet, and man, they get into it. pretty exciting watching that and the stuff that they've done to transform that program to what it was back in. Like, we didn't even know anything about cross country when I was in high school. We had a team, but it was Coach Jones and about 5 people, and that was about it. And now, you've got 40, 50, if not more. I mean, it's a big team altogether. And they've started a good foundation at Elm Grove. It looks like they're starting to run.
I think that's made a huge difference.
I think it has
middle
too.
School sports and how much we've invested as a community.
I think 10 years ago, how many kids broke a 5-minute mile?
Right.
In terms
That's insane to me. Yeah.
And I think when they ran their last time trial, and guys that left off, Drew Ken as well. But I think we had 8 or 9. I know Coach Fulton will correct me if I'm wrong, but 8 or 9 guys that broke 5 minutes, and I want to say they were like 4:45 or 4:50 and less.
Yeah,
so.
check the comments. I'm sure my brother will be on there somewhere on there. But now, did we start volleyball, or are they starting volleyball at Elm Grove?
They're working on going to middle school league. I know Coach Curry. Volleyball's it started as a club, and now has obviously shifted as a sport on our campus. And Coach Curry's done a really good job at growing that. In terms of, we probably have 40 to 45 girls playing volleyball currently between freshman and senior. And we've had a really good team. Evelyn Dang just graduated.
Yes.
She just signed to go play Arkansas Monticello to play volleyball. And then her brother is also a big swimmer for us. And we also had Abigail Jackson, who just left and signed to go swim. But her brother's a 2-time state champ.
See, people don't realize, man, you don't have to play football or basketball. Chances are you won't get a scholarship for those sports because there's so limited amount of them. There's so many of them. But colleges pay big money for you to come run cross country, or you to come play soccer, or you come swim. You can get a college scholarship by doing other sports that you may be better at.
One thing that Mr. Minton did this year is they did actually a band signing at the end of the year, and just had Northwestern. They came up, a couple other schools came up and just recognized all the kids that had earned scholarships at the next level for band, and just the amount of money that those kids are receiving to further their education and doing something that and being able to continue doing something that they love to do. So I think one thing about this job is there's so many positives going on that sometimes when you ask or put me on the spot to name things, you lose sight of it. And then I start thinking about the swim team and
fishing team
and our fishing team. They're having their banquet right now, and Deputy Virgilito does a good job helping our kids there, and they've had his daughter and Taylor Bako have done a really good job. And I don't know many people that have caught a 5-stringer in bass and been over 30 pounds.
Yeah, because
it's just unreal.
Did she set a world record?
They couldn't confirm it. The number was so ludicrous. They had no way of verifying.
Right.
No one can dispute it. No one has said well, this is not.
I don't know if there was a world record set, but I know
it's a lot of fish.
What's amazing to me is the technological advances in fishing now, and the innovation of live scope and how that's changed the whole fishing game. And I was looking at some things that Deputy Virgilito was showing. It's just interesting how you could say, it's about 15 feet out. And it's pretty.
He took me and my father and my son fishing. One of the auctions y'all had, I bid on it and won the fishing trip. And he had this equipment, and he literally would tell my son, "Okay, drop it right now." And he'd drop the bait, and boom, fish. He'd pull right back up, and the fish.
It's incredible.
It's unreal, man. It's cool because you've got pieces like you brought Concilio over, you brought the baseball coach over, and you've brought Gallman. Y'all kind of brought these puzzle pieces together that seem like they were doing good at their other places, but they wanted to come to Parkway, and y'all put this good puzzle together that I think we have a good sustainable future. One of the things that I told you before we started, and I also asked to Kelsey about Kelsey, is that the good positive is that you're here for longevity. You've been in it 14 years, so hopefully we don't lose you in 2 years. I think that, like I told you earlier, I think that when you have Parkway on your resume, that says something because, Nicole was principal for a few years and boom, immediately gone. Waylon comes in, gone. Jeremiah comes in, gone. They move up. And so we have a lot of turnover here, but it's for people moving up. So I'm glad that you were still at a young age that you can put in the time here and really grind in, and we can, and like Kelsey Gallman, and she's like, I want to be here for the long haul. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we can have some stability for lots and lots of years. Now, do I think you're going to move up eventually? Absolutely, I do. There's no question about that. But you're still at a young age that you can really grind and take Parkway to this next level, as I believe Jeremiah was on his way to doing with y'all. I fully believe Waylon Bates was going to do that as well. But, when it's like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like if you have Parkway on your resume, that's,
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of moving pieces, and there's a track record of success. The school's done well. The kids are graduating at exceptionally high rates. They're getting college scholarships. They're going to colleges. The school functions well. And when you are, as a leader, you have this track record, of course you're going to get more responsibilities. And I think that's where those previous leaders have gone. They've done well with this big task.
And I think it's important, I know a lot of times we get lost in test scores and data, and I think it's important to set kids up for success, and understanding that we want to help kids find the path that's right for them, and we have a lot of kids that are gonna go into the military, and I think that should be celebrated just as much as some of the kids that are going to go to 4-year universities, and I think helping everybody find their find their potential, find their area, and find their calling, I think is important, and just supporting these kids and help continue to push them to be better.
One thing I didn't know much about, and I learned about it from one of your students. I was talking to Aubrey Dupree about Bipstel, and she had won this the statewide cooking championship. And I said, "What made you get into that?" And her answer was so simple and so profound. She said, "I didn't know how to cook." And it seemed interesting, and I knew one day I would need to take care of myself. And then she went to Bipstel and enrolled in cooking classes, and then she, won all these awards. I thought that was pretty impressive. Just like you said, not everybody's maybe channeling the college route, but we have so many options for the trades and for the military now. It's incredible.
I think about a guy I went to school with and had Algebra 2 class with, Ruben Boyer. And now he's got Boyer Mechanical Services, and
I like
and
Ruben
he
a lot.
Actually services the Brookshires Arena and a couple of the local big businesses in town. But he's really grown, his business, and it started with him at the technical school, and then he started out at a store equipment company, kind of shifted from there. So it's been for these kids, I think it's important to find, like we had a bunch of girls and they got pinned in the nursing ceremony recently. And just, finding areas that they may be interested in. So I encourage all kids, if they're, looking for something, tap into Bipstel. You never know where it'll take you.
Sure.
Yeah, find a trade. Like it's you don't want to discourage people from going to college, but like Wes said, it may not be for everybody. A trade school may be in your future. Lots of people go to hair school and, do hair for a living, or nails and stuff like that, and you can make a good living doing that. Being a plumber, electrician, we're always so short of stuff like that. You can do, like Bipsy has a 2-year nursing program now. So there's all kinds of different avenues. Again, going in the military, that's provides not only a future for you, but being in the military can potentially provide a future for your kids, because they can go to college on that, and they can go back to college if they want to. And so so it's good that there's lots of. I love the Bipstel. I'm so grateful that I think we had that stuff when we were in high school, but it wasn't as advertised. And I think kind of how we were all raised in school was, you're going to a 4-year college, like you had to go. It was not really any other alternatives other than that, unless it was just a few here and there. But I love that now y'all push the kids, hey, maximize yourself. Let's pull the best out of you, whether it's going into a trade school or going into a cooking school.
Well, and I think one thing that's changed in just the time that I graduated high school in 2002. So one thing that's changed is, at that time we were going to Northwest Technical School, and over there off of Market, and now having it in Bossier Parish, I think has been a big change. Where our kids, not that they weren't getting bused over there before, but it's easier. You're in Parish, and you have direct communication with the administration over there, and they can kind of help plug some of these kids in and kind of get them where they need to be. And the welding program's grown so much, and just learning trades that, like, I encourage kids to go learn small engine repair. If you ever have to fix your own lawnmower one day, or instead of spending money on other stuff, you may be able to know how to fix something. So it's just kind of good to learn.
Yeah.
I think it makes you a better, well-rounded student, and I think that's another aspect that I really like about Parkway and South Bossier in general. We have well-rounded students. The student athletes are celebrated for having good grades. I noticed I was going through the weight room before another podcast, and I saw on the wall, the football players, one of their requirements was to have a certain GPA, and the coaches checked on that every week. They're checking their grades, and I thought that was incredible because my generation's mindset was if you're a stellar athlete, the academic part isn't as important. And then you see, athletes that don't make it, and now they have no trade, no skill, no college.
And you want these kids to qualify academically.
Sure.
So I think pushing them in the classroom will only translate to helping them get the scholarships and opportunities they want if athletics is their ticket. And I think it's important to foster that academic side and really push it now.
Right.
Because the worst thing that we can do is now this kid goes off somewhere and he's not ready academically. And then, he doesn't have the ability to pursue the things he wants to if he's not prepared. And we want all our kids to be prepared when they move forward, and I think it's important to do so.
And that was one of the things impressive about Michaela is that she had a perfect 4.0. So even if she didn't play basketball, she still would have gotten a full scholarship to go to wherever university she wanted. And so prepare and I attribute that, along with a lot of our athletes, to the good parenting, teaching these kids, hey, athletics is great, and it can be your ticket, but getting your education is first. And a lot of times people forget that, and it's like, hey, you're here to get an education.
I think it's a big priority
first.
for the coaches too.
Yes.
I think the coaches have really, even the social media stuff that I see from the baseball team, they listed all of the GPA for the team, and they were all in the mid to high threes.
Right.
I thought it was great. Their average GPA was, for a whole baseball team to be that high, there's success happening in more than just one place. I thought that was incredible.
Well, at the end of the day, when at some point you're going to hang up the cleats or hang up your shoes and you're not going to play anymore, aside from going to the gym or whatever it may be.
Something to fall back on.
And so at some point when it's over, you got to be prepared to step in and do something else. And so I think it's important to do those things and help push those kids. So whatever it may be, and helping them find their right path or the right path for them. And every kid's not the same. And I think that's important to understand.
You're absolutely right that they're not the same, and that's good that you have that outlook on that. Now, talk to us about long-term goals. How big a support has your family been through all this? Has this been pretty tumultuous, or you've been
my kids love it. My kids love, a lot of times the kids on the campus treat them, they get all the, in their mind, they're like, my kids feel like they're celebrities or something.
Right.
But they want to come to Panthertown all the time. But, my family is my support system. And, my wife grew up in a household of educators, so you get raised by the school, and you can attest to that with your mom. Your mom was always at the school, so when you were younger, you were always at the school, and then once you got older, you were attending the school, and therefore, so my wife was raised in the school system, so as a byproduct, our kids are getting raised in the school system as well, with both of us being in the education field. And it's, we love what we do. We love being around the kids, and we really have a passion for it, and therefore our kids are always with us,
Right.
are always at the events. And
now, when your kids get at the age that they get to go to high school, where are they going to go? Is Andy going to make them go to Airline, or are you going to let them go to Parkway, or is that a battle we need to save for another time?
It's funny. I have three girls. I have Claire, Colleen, Charlotte. A 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And Claire all the time, she's kind of like Switzerland. One day she's going to Panthertown, next day she's going to Vikingtown, and Colleen will flip from what Claire does, or side with Mom. So it's always funny. So it'll be an interesting conversation as we move forward with them and seeing, what path they'll choose. So, Dad's always pulling for him, but Mom's always pulling for him as well. So it'll be interesting to
Now,
see.
what kind of, is your 6-year-old, are they involved in extracurricular stuff? Because
My 6-year-old, well, both the 6 and 3, they do dance, cheering, tumbling, and so that's we just had recitals at Candace Dance, so they're big into all that stuff, and so it's nonstop with them as well. And
Yeah.
anybody that has younger kids or kids in general in today's society, whether they're involved in soccer, they're traveling all the time for club, or whether they're on a travel baseball team or a football transition to 7-on-7. When you have kids, it's never ending, and the older they get, the busier you get, and the busier
Right.
they are. So it'll be interesting as we transition forward, for sure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Well, now you have 2,003 kids, so your workload
1,303.
Yeah,
or,
I know it's a big number.
Yeah,
What's
what's the attendance right now?
It's right under 1,300.
Wow.
And it's going to vary just based on the class
Sure.
you lose and the class you bring in. Now, the last 2 classes that have come in from Elm Grove have been much bigger than the ones
Have
we've
they been
had
kind of
before.
bigger than normal?
Been well over that 300 mark.
Wow.
330, 340 mark. And so we've, I know when you look at other stuff, the numbers have continued to grow as opposed to kind of maybe, falling off a little bit. But, we'll see.
What's the capacity? Talking about the numbers, I mean, is 1,300 a comfortable number for the current building and layout and
Yeah,
teachers?
I mean, I think we're good. I mean, in every building, you're always going to have different challenges and things of that. But we've been able to, we operate pretty comfortable right now with what we have and the population size for the campus that we have.
Are there any challenges you foresee having to tackle in the next 3 to 5 years at Parkway? Like, what's kind of in the back of your mind? Like, I got to start thinking about this, or start working with my leadership team.
Well, I think it's just this. I think growing every year, and when like I think about the last 3 years, we've shown growth in regards to SPS. You're talking about prior to Coach Williams, roughly an 87, and now shifting up. Right now we're hovering at that 94 range, 94.2. So you've talking about 7 points of growth almost.
And for people who don't know, SPS is
it's the school performance rankings and stuff like that.
Okay.
So based on our testing data and things of that nature, and graduation rate, strength of diploma, and things of that nature. But it's been, finding ways to always continue to grow, because you don't want to ever fall off either.
Sure.
So I think always finding ways as kids are ever changing to continue to push them academically while keeping them engaged in everything that's going on and keeping them plugged in. I think it's important to get kids involved in the campus, to get kids involved in whether it's clubs or athletics, whatever it may be, and just keeping them involved and plugged in.
And now Parkway has an app, don't they?
Yes,
App
they
for
do.
communication?
So if any parent's not on it, it's something that we can help transition them to. But every kid is on that app. Every parent that has a kid at the school has the ability to be on that app. It's something we pay for every year. Their ID picture can be on it. All means of communication. Coach Williams would always post things on there, other scholarship opportunities, or whatever it may be. It'd be congratulatory messages, teams that did well, performed well, pictures, stuff like that. That would be posted on that app and for everybody to see and be a part of it. In addition to, there's a Facebook page as well that Parkway High School that is ran. And then we have the new board up front. I don't know if you've seen as you come in and you drive through, but that
The one
has
on the wall? Yeah.
out in front of the school, and that
I like
has
that.
all digital congratulatory messages, postings of people that made certain teams or spirit groups or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I'm hoping eventually, I know it's in the plans to expand Barksdale Boulevard into 2 lanes further down so we can start using that entrance. And I think eventually they're going to have to do it, whether they want to or not, because once you start hitting that 1,500 kid range, you're going to have more than just one way in and out of here, as opposed to, what it is now. So I think there's a lot of growth potential here, and I think it's absolutely going to happen. I've talked to some friend of mine that works for Southern Home Builders, and they have got all of this property coming up almost to the school right there. So you're talking hundreds more houses on both sides. So I mean, I think that we are going to grow exponentially down here. So I think And I think that's a good thing. I mean, I'm excited about that. So
I mean, you're seeing it all across the parish, though. You know, I mean, you're talking about people are shifting. You know, homes are or neighborhoods are being built further north of Benton. You know, as we go out further outside of Halton as
Yeah,
well.
Halton's
So I
gonna
mean,
be huge.
you're seeing just a ton of growth in the parish, which is a great thing. You know, obviously, you know, you want to continue to grow and in all aspects, and getting more kids and more people in our parish is going to be a good thing.
I think I take it for granted that the location of the high school right now is kind of isolated. And as a parent, you know, I know like my kid goes there. There's no neighborhood. There's no Walmart across the street. It's a good,
know,
safe place
yes.
for kids to go to school. But I know eventually the neighborhood's going to creep down, and you know, growth is
Right.
going to come with. But right now, it's the perfect campus as far as
Yes.
location for someone who has a
It
teenage
is.
daughter.
And you think about as a kid though, sometimes like when you played in the neighborhood, you'd ride your bike up to the school or around the school, or going to a football game was pretty easy because you could, you know, which it still is because we still play at
Right.
the stadium, but it was just kind of nostalgic at that time, you know, just being that close to the school and close to the, you know, with all the neighborhoods kind of connected on that side anyway.
Now, eventually, would you like to see the stadium move down here? I mean, I'm sure, I don't know that it'll ever happen.
The thing is, the stadium that we have with them putting turf down, I think it's a great place, and you know, I think about, you know, the parking and things there. We have a really good facility there. They actually just put new handrails up.
Oh, good. Okay.
Which has been as I think about people trying to get up and down steps, has been good. They made a lot of
There's a lot of good parking all around.
well,
as
they made a lot of improvements, and the turf. You know, you're talking about a
Yeah, I
playing
love our
surface,
turf.
that's going to be good for quite some time. So I think, you know, with where we're at and making those upgrades, it's a great place, and you know, maybe they'll shift one down. You never know.
Yeah.
But I kind of like
I kind of like it too.
I
you
kind
know?
of like
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I like it being still, you know, for that being in the neighborhood for ease of purpose for people to come, and it's still there on the parade route
Plus
for
you
homecoming.
have
and-
more than one way to get in and out. Like you can come in from Shady Grove Boulevard. You can come in from Bel Air. Technically, you can come in right in for the railroad tracks.
Well, and then I think about, you know, the homecoming parade as well, and you know, just being in the neighborhood and things of that nature. So still having that stadium there is still nice.
I'll tell you one thing I missed that I noticed, that, you know, the homecoming parade is not what it used to be. I think they just make kind of one big square. And I remember when we were in high school, that homecoming parade went zagged all through the neighborhood. It was a long parade when we used to march that thing.
I think this year we had, you know, right under 45, I guess, floats and or cars.
Right.
And the route this year, they started down Van Diemen to Shady Grove Boulevard, made a left on Shady Grove Boulevard, then made a left on Oriole, and then
Right.
came back to the school.
Yeah.
So it's about a mile and a half block.
Right. That's fun. I hope y'all do some fun things for homecoming.
Well,
this
it'd
year.
be exciting, you know, this year it's kind of the week before fall break, which is kind of nice too.
Oh,
Oh, okay, yeah, that'd be good.
So we'll have an October homecoming, hopefully a little cooler weather maybe.
Well, see, that's when homecoming used to be, was in October. Last few years, some of them have been in September.
Right,
A
been
lot of
like
them
third week of September.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
sure you have to negotiate with the other schools and figure out who's going to
Yeah,
do their
yeah.
stuff when.
Who do we play homecoming this year?
Southwood.
Okay.
Southwood High School. So it'll be a district game, which, you know, sometimes is always, you know, good rivalry and
Yeah,
and
add
so,
some more stakes to it.
Yep.
And
add
they
more
just,
stakes.
I think, got a new football coach
Yep.
this year.
So it'll be exciting and a good opportunity for our kids and to have a good week and hopefully a good game and stuff like that.
Good deal, man. Good deal. I guess we're about ready to wrap this up at 6:59.
Yep. It's been an awesome
an
hour.
hour.
I really
Appreciate it.
appreciate
Do you have anything you want to tell?
I don't. You know, if you guys ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out and we're here for your kids. So we appreciate you.
And then, like we always do, always give Eric opportunity to have the last word. So, Eric, what's the last word of the day?
I don't know. I'm excited about our future for Parkway. I'm excited about Steven here. I'm so glad that you came and gave us the time today, and I look for big things from you, as do all of our viewers, I'm sure, and I hope y'all are as excited as I am. And we just appreciate you following Sobo Live. We appreciate the support, the love that you show us, and let's all work together and help Verka's transition be a smooth one, and help our kids in the process. So I just appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Take care.